guys have. A lot of you guys have just been around longer, man. You've seen more stuff, and you've talked to more people, and you know what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, I could have what I know to within my limitations of my world knowledge and stuff like that, man. But you come up to somebody who's like 20 years older than you, man. 10, 15, 20 years older than you. It's like you're what you know is capped out, man. People who've been around longer. They've had more experiences. They've seen how people operate more. That type of shit. Especially if they're smart too. Like if you have because you could learn something from a dumb fucking person, right? Who's been around longer. Just from pure street knowledge or whatever, right? Whatever they've learned, right? But if you have somebody who's smart and they've been around for a long time, man, you
Oh,
feel
that's the
like a dummy,
thing.
man.
If somebody makes you feel better, right? Here's the thing. Somebody makes you feel better. I mean, I'm sorry, makes you feel dumb, then you have no other choice but to upgrade yourself. You know what I'm saying? And in the process of that, you will have the discernment to pick up knowledge from anything. Like
Yeah.
intelligent people, like if you keep yourself in a lower level, at a lower level, that doesn't help. You know what I mean? Even if you do split it up, people become anchors. You know,
Yeah.
either they always need to be supported or they keep you mentally unstimulated.
It's okay. I know.
Yeah.
I've got it.
It makes sense though. I mean, I mean that, and just the fact that people just kind of
Hey, 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 hey.
inevitably,
It's right here.
uh, um,
And the way you pushed me
sort
when
of
I filled you
adopt
in. I
each
knew
other's
something was
mannerisms.
up.
That's why they tell. That's why they can
We took
tell
a
like
long
people who've
drive,
been married for so
not
long,
far from where you fell.
who they are, who they're
2 days.
associated with. Like if you look at a man and a woman, right, and they were like separate from each other, you could tell that they're married because like they have mannerisms that they've adopted over the years. I mean, in every way, from like how they do
Aloy,
things, how they move
There's no
around,
time.
even how they look, how their
I
face
found
looks,
somebody.
facial structures, like all that shit, man. Like they could look
so
at
what
you
is
and
the plan?
tell, like, yo, you guys are married, aren't you? Oh
Keep
yeah.
muttering it while I carried you. Look, Aloy,
When
we're
you're
nothing.
around somebody
It
long
is
enough,
that you
man, your
found.
mannerisms,
You're in no
each
shape.
other's
I'm a
mannerisms
pro.
just rub off on
I
each other.
believed you. Okay, fine. But before you do that, there's someone you should talk to. An Utaru named Zoe. She told me there's been trouble in those
There's been
mountains.
a lot of
A
smart,
cave spitting out deadly
quote
machines.
unquote, smart people, right?
No coincidence, right?
Why do we need her?
I used to think that I was an idiot
Uh,
until I realized that there's some things that
Utaru territory.
I brought to the table that people didn't think about.
She can help us.
And that was like,
We'll
wow,
see.
okay. And I was like, And I started seeing cracks into people's intelligence. It's like you see where they're not proficient at, you know what I mean? And where they
Yeah.
weren't proficient at, that's where like I was strengthening that area. I don't typically want to become jealous of people. I want to make my own mark, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But the more people you hang out with, the more you kind of figure out like where you stand in life anyway, you know?
You didn't answer my question.
she should be in bed.
What's going on, Lionel?
Aloy doesn't really do shit.
I said, yo, yo.
You're so right.
Yo, yo, yo. I'll be right
Paul said
back.
we should talk to you. About the machines. In the mountains west of Lansing.
I'm about to answer it though, Lionel.
So, my place is here. We can talk once we get it. What's wrong with it? Her name is Ray. She's one of our roommates. She's dying. Not just dying. She's suffering. A condition that is not like this one.
So, if anyone can help, it's Aloy.
May I?
What if Starfield flops? And ask Jamia.
Jemiah's not in here. That was Ken.
So what am I to do?
Yeah, he's not in here. What if it?
I
What if?
throw up in my sleep, but it tried to come through my nose.
What the fuck?
That's the only reason I'm up low.
I've had that happen to me, yo. It was when I ate too much.
All right, I'm back.
Yo, fucking Lionel said that he threw up in his sleep. and it tried to come up from his nose, and he woke up.
Wow, man.
That's happened to me before.
That is extremely unfortunate.
I stuffed my fucking gullet. Like, the food wasn't even in my fucking stomach. It was in my fucking esophagus still. I laid down. That shit just rolled back up. I was like, oh shit. He says, what if Starfield flops? What if it flops?
This is what I think about Starfield, man. I think a lot of people are going to play it. I mean, I think immediately you're going to get like millions of people playing the game. And I do think more than likely the game will have like an enduring fan base. It's just how Bethesda games are, man. You know. What I don't think will happen is I don't think it will help their their platform grow that much. I just don't think so. I think the vast majority of the people who are going to play the game are probably going to buy it on Steam more than likely. And you know, you're going to get like, you know, a handful of people. I'd probably say like 10 million people or something like that, man, who probably just download the game on Game Pass. And anybody else who played it probably is just going to buy that shit on Steam.
I
don't
mean,
think it's going to go very far to...
It's kind of hard to really try to analyze how...
If it comes out broken, then its player count is low.
No, it's a Bethesda game, so if it comes out broken, the player count wouldn't be low. Nigga, what are you eating, yo? You greedy fat bitch.
Pineapple, man.
Okay.
Ice cream. Pineapple.
I hear something crunching. It probably is ice cream.
No, it's a pineapple.
That shit is bad for your teeth, yo.
Good thing I don't eat it very often.
I did. That shit fucking eroded my enamel.
Well, they say pussy's bad for your health, but you know, people still do that shit too, so.
When you get throat cancer and be wondering what happened. How? Did you eat pussy? It's a Bethesda game, so it's going to do well.
Absolutely. What I'm curious about is if the game is one going to come out buggy, right? And if it does, if it's going to be held to the same standard as it did back when Skyrim came out.
See, Skyrim was one of a kind. So people accepted it for what it is. There's a lot of games that came out that is polished now.
76 was a major flop.
We'll see, man, because I think more than likely, man, I don't know, man. I just think Starfield is positioned just right, man, for it to be a massive success, man.
You said 76 was a flop?
I don't know.
Well, think about why 76 was a flop. 76 was a flop. Oh, they recovered, but when it came out, 76 was a flop, right? Only due to the fact that the media said it was bad. And the debacle with the what do you call it again? The limited edition backpack and shit.
And that's another thing too, man. 76 it's kind of hard to go by 76 as well because it's not the same team who's working on the game. You
Not
know what
only
I
that,
mean?
but it wasn't like a mainline Fallout, right?
No, no, it wasn't. It was supposed to be like a, like this online, experience. Uh, I don't know, just some multiplayer online experience that they were kind of like diving into that just didn't they didn't do it right when it came out. The game didn't do very well. I mean, ever since then it's kind of like gotten better, but naturally. But it's kind of hard to judge like say Starfield's success in comparison to 76. You know what I mean? For two main reasons, in my opinion. One, it's a different team working on the game, and two, Starfield is a new IP. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know how much that's actually gonna affect the game. My suspicion is more than likely it's gonna garner a lot more attention because it's a new
I
Bethesda
think the
IP.
game is
You know
going
what
to
I mean?
flip.
Um, I mean,
Flop.
I think that game right now is just positioned to just do well, man. And I honestly I think it has anything to do with how good the game is or how good it might be. I just think at this point, um, it's a Bethesda game. It's a new IP. You know, it's exclusive to Microsoft's platform, which we know, the media has been on their ball sack for the last few years. You know what I'm saying? And Microsoft hasn't had like a quote unquote, a major like next generation game for this generation. You know, so I think the media is great. It's gonna be like media sweethearts
Stayed by
everywhere,
my
man, for
side
that
to make
game.
sure Aloy was comfortable.
You know, it's gonna get a bunch of
I'd be
numbers,
behind you.
like right out the gate. Probably like 10 million some people like that from Game Pass, and I think the rest of the people are just gonna buy that shit on Steam. I mean, I don't see I don't see it flopping personally, man. I just don't. I just think it's positioned too well, in my opinion. It'll be interesting to see what happens with it, though. I'm curious to see if the game does come out kind of like buggy and stuff, whether or not what you call it, if people are gonna like hold it to the same standard like they've done other games, or if they're gonna hold it to the same standard like it was with Skyrim, you know, and be like, oh, it's just the Bethesda magic, you know, or they might actually give a good review and be like, yo, this buggy, bro, like you motherfuckers need to do better. Like, let's just keep it a bug. You need to change that creation engine, bro. Do something better with that bullshit. That shit out of here.
I forgot about that. That shit's still the creation engine.
Yeah.
The game lost one of its major player base.
What major player base?
What?
Damn, it's like you sucking dick right now and choking off of it. Right.
I can't say so much for the other games that Bethesda's dropping this year, man. But Starfield, man, I just think they're gonna have the media
PlayStation.
on their side with this one, man. I really do. I just don't see it any other way personally, unless they fuck that shit up like royally. Like it's gotta feel like a big fuck up, man. You know,
And because of that
for
it
the
will
media to be
flop
against it
hard.
personally.
So, wait. It's not
Lionel thinks it's gonna
that I
flop.
don't want to
It's not
believe.
gonna flop.
It's just
Ain't gonna happen, man. Sorry, man. I mean, Pony 3000 over here, but that shit ain't gonna flop. It's just not gonna flop, man. It won't. It's just not going to. And the reason why I say that is not even because of these people on Xbox, man. I think it's the PC guys who's really gonna. That's really what's gonna make the game what it is. I don't even think a lot of these people who are on the Xbox are even gonna play it. To be honest with you, they're probably gonna download it and
yeah,
maybe try it out for
me
like
too.
5, 10 minutes, something like shit like that, right? Just look at it, whatever. Make a tweet, make a post on
We're
Twitter
supposed to be resting.
about how much they love the game and how beautiful it is, and then they're never
We
gonna play
should
that shit ever again. you know, and then Microsoft is going to count them as an active user, and how I'm telling you, man, Microsoft's going to come out and be like, oh, we just hit 10 million new people, you know, welcome 10 million new players in Starfield,
I knew it was in
right?
somewhere.
You sure about
And
this?
then there's probably going to be a big drop off on the Xbox side,
Get out.
and then more than
To
likely the
think that
vast
it can't
majority of the
flop
people
will
who
be
are
the
going to play the
reason it
game,
flops lol.
they're probably not even going to get it through Game Pass. Some people will, I think. I think they're probably going to get like a solid couple million people into the service, man, more than likely. And then the rest of the people are probably just going to buy it on Steam.
Who are
And you're going to see a bunch of positive Steam reviews. You're going to see people posting Steam chart, what you call it, performance reports and shit like that. You're going to see people posting pictures of like over fucking 500,000 people who are on Twitch playing the shit. I mean, watching the shit. You know what I mean?
they? Okay. All healed up.
So I just don't see it flopping personally, man. I just think there's too much behind it right now. Microsoft is the media sweetheart at the moment. Yeah, it's a new IP. It's a new Bethesda game.
Joe be twerking for it.
What do you want?
Is there some sort of problem?
The problem
The smoke
is
was 30
the
FPS lol.
second one I've seen today.
Now,
Wait, what
as
smoke
far
was
as
30
The
FPS?
soil will be. Less chance
what?
of bad seeds taking root.
He said the smoke was 30 FPS.
It's pain would have some goodwill around
The
here,
smoke?
Ray's going to die
I'm
from
playing.
it, just like all of us.
Well,
Meanwhile,
that's an
Outlanders
interesting thing,
will
man,
take
because they
what
actually
little we
haven't
have
confirmed
left.
that the game was
Just
gonna
like that
run at a
Marja
Rock
Huntress I
60.
saw earlier. All
So
dressed up like a bird,
that's another thing.
dragging an Utaru
Yeah, I
girl
don't know, man. It's kind of up in the air a little bit. I mean, a little bit. I think the game is gonna do well,
Must be
like
some old
regardless.
Marja curse.
I'm curious to see like what you call it, what
What,
the
am I talking
critics
to
and stuff
myself
are gonna
here?
say about it.
You wasn't
Saw
paying
them just
attention.
today
You
running
know.
southwest, likely to their deaths. Can't harvest the stinger for
Because I think more than likely the game is probably gonna be kind of buggy, just like a lot of their other games.
whoever she is.
You know, I'm wondering if they're gonna hold them to the same standard like they do every other game.
I know you
My
don't want
suspicion is
to. You may
more
just
than
tell me
likely
if
they
I'm
won't.
a friend.
Don't need
And
divorce. Don't want it.
I don't know. I'm curious to see like, you know what else I'm curious about, man?
Oh wait,
Because
before you go on, this everything is at 30 frames a second. I'm running the game at 30.
Everyone thought Halo could never flop eyes.
what are you playing right now?
Horizon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this game don't have that issue at all.
I need to meet Varl and Zen and plan something.
When they came out with some information about Starfield, and this is what's kind of making me wonder how they're how they're going to what you call it, how the critics are gonna review the game. Um, there are a few things that kind of make me that kind of throws it up in the air for me, man. Starfield, as far as we know, they've only confirmed, right, that there are going to be 4 major cities in the whole game, like at all, period, right? Which the interesting part about it is that it's supposed to have like over 100 galaxies, which each galaxy has like 100 planets. So it's supposedly like 1,000 planets in the whole game or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Which are supposedly all
I
explorable.
think the reviews will be
So
bought.
what I'm curious about is if they're going to use some kind of procedurally generated, um,
Give it a try
like part of their engine, to like make the worlds. And I'm wondering if they're going to be like what you call it, like repetitive, like a lot of samey looking worlds. Which that's what
Most
I think it's
likely.
probably going to be. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking it's going to be more than likely. Um, and the other thing was, oh, the game isn't seamless. It's not a seamless game. Like when you transition from like using your ship in outer space and going onto a planet, like it transitions from you going from the planet I mean from the space to the planet and stuff like that. And you can't control where you land because it like kind of like auto lands you in a specific spot on the map, so you can't just freely land anywhere and explore anywhere like off of your ship. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of thinking that there might be like reviewers and critics who talk about the game and say like, yo, it's cool, but it's kind of repetitive. And you know, the experience isn't seamless, kind of like what you get with things like No Man's Sky, where it's like a completely seamless gameplay experience. You know, um, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. More than likely, any deficiencies that the game has, man, will probably be what you call it, uplifted by the media.
He said he
You
thinks
know,
the reviews are going to be bought as well.
bro. See, that's why I don't really go by this whole dude. When we were talking about that shit earlier about like a lot of people not playing Microsoft's games and stuff like that, I think it confuses people even further, man. When you look at the Metacritic scores, and that's why I don't use it. I don't really go by the Metacritic scores all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because uh, one, when you look at Microsoft's games, man, a lot of they don't get reviewed very often. You know what I mean? Like you don't have a lot of
Or
people
that much.
yeah, or that much. You know what I'm
You got
saying?
like 30 reviews for their games.
If that, that's like on the high end. You know what I'm saying? Unless it was something like Halo. I think Halo was like one of the only ones that got a lot of
PlayStation
reviews.
usually get like fucking 80 to 110 or something.
120 or some shit, yeah.
But the reviews help sell the games.
Which means,
It does, which
means,
is
right?
unfortunate, Lionel.
Yeah, which means that Microsoft, because theoretically, right, with less scores, that means that the aggregate score will fluctuate more with less scores, right? Which you would think, right, if Microsoft had less scores, right, more than likely their score would be,
Lower.
it would be lower, yeah, right?
But
Theoretically,
you got a whole bunch of paid actors that's
either
giving
that,
high ass
right?
scores, so there you have it. And then it looks like
Exactly.
it's limited to how many people can review it anyway. Even it's like people are gonna say that Sony's games are shit. You know, there's always gonna be that one person.
Forspoken has like 120 something critics face with tears of joy.
Yeah, Forspoken had a lot. I mean, Thrash always says that it was because you were black, but I'm like, nah. I mean, because she was black, I'm like, nah, I ain't it.
I don't think so either.
You have to wait for an opening.
I was looking at a lot of the games that were reviewed recently on Metacritic for Microsoft,
Care to join
and if you look at the people who reviewed them, right, a lot of them are, you know, either it's like one of two or three things, right? It's either one, they are extremely Xbox centric, you know what I mean? Like you get Xbox era, you get guys like The Verge, Windows Central, you know, guys like Survivor, and you know what I'm saying? Like you get a lot of those guys, man, who are like very like, Xbox centric, right? Or it's what was the other one? Uh, damn, I forgot what the other one was. But anyway, like it's you get like or it's like some no name bro. I remember I was looking at a couple of the reviews, right? And I like looked at their social medias and their YouTube pages and stuff like that, man. And I'm like, bro, these dudes have less subscribers than people like freaking Thrash. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm talking about some of these outlets, right? Quote unquote outlets, right? Who affect the score so much. They have like no followings at all. Period. Like it's some fucking no-name person that you've never heard of. You know, even Survivor, man. Like I went on Survivor's YouTube page, man. They got like 2,000 subscribers, dude. Fucking Thrash has more. He has like 10 times more subscribers than they do. This motherfucker could be a fucking Metacritic journalist over them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't know, man. That's why I don't go by the Metacritic score, man, because I think it's pretty biased, man, just in general. Not to call like conspiracy shit, man, but I just think a lot of the games that are reviewed for Microsoft, man, they don't get as many reviews, and then the people who do review it are very like Xbox centric. You could say
Should
paid off,
Stevie O be reviewing
paid
games?
off for anything from like them actually getting paid off or them being paid off from having like free review copies and being fucking thrown out to events and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So.
Nicely done.
Likewise.
Come over here. Are you alright?
It's just it's pretty crazy how like I wish the media wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Where they could be like essentially like have so much influence. Well, you heard the young
Yeah.
buck, y'all. When he said he was 23 years old, I was like, oh boy, all right.
Aloy despite the
Yeah.
Nora.
The savior
I
of
was like, all right, I already fucking know what this shit is.
She joined the Hunter's Lodge shortly after
Yeah.
You know, he's easily influenced.
Stay
Hopefully,
When I told
sure you take some medicinal
you know, you learn from someone older.
So what brings you all the way out here?
when I told him that I canceled my Game Pass subscription, man, he didn't. He was like, "Oh, well, yeah, I feel you, bro."
a Karja hunter, about my age.
You know what I mean? But if everybody else is doing it, it makes it easier. You know what I mean?
Now he's
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so it's
people.
like,
Last time we met,
hmm?
you had left Meridian on a
No, go
contract to
ahead.
head to
No, go on,
I
go
was
on,
gonna
go
kind of switch. I was gonna switch up the
several
conversation
Lost Riders
a little,
on.
a
Go
little
on.
bit, not
The
too
hunter
much.
killer too.
You said you were feeling useless. Is life as
Go on.
Hawk that boring?
Well,
No, I was gonna say, man, like a lot of people have been getting on my ass about me talking about how PlayStation Plus is the better value than Game
But my
Pass.
time out in the wilds helped me realize the lodge needs to
It's,
be more
it's
than a
Appreciate
just
you.
funny,
glorified
man.
trophy hub.
I said a lot of people have been getting on my ass about me saying that PS Plus is better than Game Pass.
It is.
The guy that said has
You know,
very cost efficient and then proceeded to
and
buy an Xbox while having a PC was
I don't
crazy.
know, man. I just don't see like how overall Game Pass is just it's a better deal. I just don't think it is.
So, you
You
need some
know,
refresh.
I mean,
Guess that
and
means
this is what
Hawkins
people
wants
will
to
do,
come
man.
back.
Like what they will do
Things
is
have changed in the
they
Hunter's
will
Lodge.
try to argue
Always seem
semantics,
to
and
find the best
that's
weapons
where
and
like you kind of
weapons
lose me
no
with the
matter
freaking
the terrain.
semantics, man.
However,
Because
you're still my favorite threat.
it's like it doesn't make sense to argue semantics where it
As I
doesn't make sense.
promised when I became
You know
Sunfire.
what I mean?
And as for Milu, she believes
Like when
millions
you
of
look at
contract
both
members
Game
will die.
Pass and PS Plus,
Who am
right?
I to say no?
Functionally, what they both offer functionally, right? They pretty much offer the
This
same shit.
man you're looking for. Is he
You
another
know,
hunter from the lodge?
day and date titles,
He'd hate to hear you say that.
fucking
It's a
online
long
shit,
'Cause
story.
it ain't like you
cloud
have
streaming.
big game. It ain't like you have big day and day
We
titles
met out in the woods
on
after
Game
I was
Pass.
wounded on a hunt. He
And you
healed
know
me,
the thing about that too,
then helped put us up.
yo,
That's because
I
Game
was
Pass is more trendy.
ever since Microsoft came out with their quarterly information,
Sounds like there's
right?
more of the story.
And this whole thing about Game Pass and stuff like that declining on the console side and all this type of shit, right? It started to make me think, man. I'm like, yo,
I can help you find your friend.
a
I'm
lot
happy
of
to
people keep
investigate your
saying
reasons
that
for being
the day
honest,
and date aspect of Game
but I'd be
Pass
glad
is
to.
like is what's really giving it its value, right?
He lost someone close
And
to him
and
during
when
the Red
people say
Freeze.
that Game
He
Pass
was
is
heading
the best
to the site of the
value,
battle to
right?
finally lay them to
It
rest.
doesn't make sense
Milu and I were
when
every day
you have
together.
all of these, right? I have all of these day and date games, quote unquote,
No.
right? All these quote
Go
unquote
to
great
Stone's Echo, heal,
day and
wait
date
for me
titles,
there, and
right?
think on today's lesson.
And then
You're no good distracted by
nobody's
pain
buying
and
the
glory.
service.
All
You know
hunters
what I
need to
mean?
recover from
Like
time
to
to
me,
time.
that doesn't make sense,
Yes.
right? You can't like when you hear somebody say, "Oh, it's the best value," but nobody's buying it. That does not make any logical sense to me.
Will she be
You
okay?
know?
You know?
So
Of course.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yo,
Come. The
that
battle
must
begins.
mean, right, to some degree, right, which you would think, right, common sense would tell you, right, that there has to be some kind of subjectivity to whether or not somebody will actually like the games that are
So this
going into the
battlefield.
service.
You said it was part
You
of
know
the
what I'm saying?
blueprints?
So
The
the
battle of
fact that it has
Armageddon.
day and date,
Amadas was part of the Karja
like
army that marched into the
fundamentally,
west.
does not
His division
automatic
attacked the
because that's what
town,
people
but
keep saying. They keep saying like,
they
oh,
underestimated the
we have day and date first party and we have day and date third party. I'm like, yeah, but people aren't buying them. People's not subscribing to the service. What the fuck does that tell you?
Don't worry, he was one of the good
You know what I'm
ones.
saying?
He tried to stop the attack.
Oh, what is it telling you?
To me,
Been on the run ever since.
because there are a couple different metrics, man. It's not. I'll say simply is they're just not making games that people want, generally speaking, right? But the nuance to that is, right?
Track him down. He promised
They're not
this
making
is
games
the
for their console
ready to
market.
knock
You know what I'm
slaughter.
saying? Which is why you see a lot of the console side start to decline a little bit or slow down because it's not made for them.
Must be
You know, you
reasons.
see a lot of people on the PC side, man, who are getting into a lot of these games. That's because a lot of the games are PC centric, right? And you see a lot of these PC guys, man, like Alex and Fratanga and all these guys. Those guys aren't Xbox guys, man. They're not. They don't own Xboxes. They're PC gamers. You know what I'm saying? But you see them like defending Pass because it benefits them. Microsoft has this thing where they integrate both their console and their PC and all this stuff like back and forth.
Footprints.
Like it's all integrated. So like, and the PC guys benefit more because of the fact that they have exclusive PC content and shit like that that are not even going to
Honest
Xbox
was
Game
supposed
Pass.
to be alone.
You know,
Why were
so
also-
that's why you see a lot of them. They're like, yo, Game Pass is good because it benefits them. They're making the fucking Microsoft is making the type of games for them, and they're putting it in a cheap service.
Blades rusted.
Of course, they're gonna fucking cap for that
Must have
shit.
been from the battle
You know what I'm
years
saying?
ago.
But like I said, pretty much every other aspect of the freaking brand is declining right now. So Microsoft is clearly not making games for that audience of people.
Whoever was here
You
camped
know,
out for at least a night.
And I think that's a problem. And some people might say, "Oh, you know, it's good that they're expanding to new people, right?" I would say generally yes,
Prince,
but
Oseram, maybe Karja.
Microsoft, what they're doing, right, is they're trying to reach new people while simultaneously alienating the people who created the brand in the first place, helped create the brand in the first place.
Tracks that head away from the battlefield.
You know what I'm saying?
Lead the way.
And see, they keep trying to do this thing where they reach all gamers and stuff like that, where they have all of this content that is supposedly tailored for like everybody, from console gamers to PC gamers to mobile gamers and stuff like that. And it's like, yo, every single one of those people play different types of games, man. Like you can't try to reach everybody because you're gonna fucking reach nobody. And that's why their brand isn't doing that well, because they don't really have an identity for who they're trying to reach, because they're trying to reach everybody.
An old scavenger grateful.
You know what I'm saying? And the people that they've kind of been successful with are the fucking PC guys, man.
Looking for someone.
You know?
Karja Hunter. He would have been traveling alone, clothes well worn.
Yes, he was here.
I don't know. I think a lot of the games that are going into Game Pass are just not for those people. I also think, like I said, there's some subjectivity to it, man. I think that a lot of the games that are going into Game Pass, right? It's a quantity thing, but it's a thing of like a lot of those games are not big games. You know, most of them are like indie AA type games, right? Which if you're part of the service already, that's good for you, you know, because you're already invested into the ecosystem and stuff like that, man. You're just getting more content on top of that, you know what I'm saying? So if you're already there, then it's great for you, right? But it's not growing, which means that the people who are not already invested into the ecosystem are looking at whatever they're offering and they're like, bro, I don't give a fuck about that shit. I don't care. Either that, right? Or it's a title that they have access to on their platform already. You know, because people keep saying like, yo, we're getting Wo Long day one and we're getting Atomic Heart day one and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's a good thing, right? For you as, you know, on the platform that you have, right? But there's nothing else surrounding the game to get somebody who's not in the ecosystem to come into the ecosystem to then also benefit from those games that are also in the service, like Wo Long, those third-party games, because those games are available currently on their platform where they are. You know what I'm saying? So Microsoft has this problem where, you know, a lot of the exclusive titles that would entice somebody to come into the service, right, and then therefore by extension benefit from all these other games. Because it's not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. but it's not growing. So clearly they're having issues enticing people with their content. You know. So I think at the end of the day, man, I think Game Pass has a few different issues, man. I think Microsoft is focusing on too many things. You know, I don't think that they're making content for their core audience, and I don't think that they have a clear vision on what they want to do. And I think that the good games that do get into the service are kind of overshadowed by other platforms that are making better content. You know, like Nintendo and PlayStation. You know, because people are running over to them, and now that they're invested into this ecosystem or whatever the case, right? They could just play the games over there and give a fuck about that service. You know what I'm saying? See, Microsoft has to deal with their competition now, you know? And I don't think a lot of people are like realizing that, man. Like Microsoft, like with their fucking, even with all their third-party games and their fucking exclusive games, like, yo, they have to deal with the competition. Like, there's no way around it, because, like, if your competition is making games that are significantly better than yours, man, people are just gonna go over there. They're not gonna give a fuck about your service. Like, in all aspects, man, in all respects, Game Pass should be more successful. When you think about it, right? I mean, it's cheap. It's $1. It's $15. It has all of these quote-unquote day-and-date titles, right? You know, they have over 400 something games. They have all of this, you know, all of this, what do you call it? Integration in all of these different platforms, from mobile to PC to console to whatever, you know what I'm saying? You have access on so many different devices, from your tablet, your TV, your phone, your console, all this stuff, right? And to make it even better, right? We just went through a whole freaking world pandemic, right? Where everybody was in their house, you know, and digital sales in general just kind of fucking skyrocketed, man. You know, if your model was good and your content was good, that was the perfect storm for it to be successful. But it wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we're haters, though.
I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, when I look at PlayStation Plus in comparison, right? You know, people keep saying like, "Oh, it doesn't have as many day-and-date titles." I'm like, "Well, yeah, you're right." You know, but just because Microsoft has more day-and-date titles does not mean automatically that people want to play those games. So there's always going to be some kind of subjectivity to whether or not somebody's actually going to want to play the game. The fact that it's there, day and date, and new does not mean that it has more value than something that's in the other service. You know what I'm saying? I think people have this misconstrued idea of what value is, man. You know, I think they've come up with their own definition of it. They're like, oh, you know, value is you just get new games. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean that is value, right? But is it the best value? Is it better value? Because it's like you could have a bunch of games, man, but if nobody wants to play it, then it has value, but the question is how much value. You know what I mean? Because I can tell you right now, right? I think games like The Last of Us and games like God of War 2018 and stuff like that hold significantly more value than probably like 80% of the games that went into Game Pass recently. And you know why? Because those games are fucking relevant. They're not new, but they're relevant. You know, the Last of Us TV show, God of War Ragnarok just released. A lot of people are going back to play that. You know what I'm saying? I think this whole thing about it being new is kind of like, I think it's throwing people off, because a new game does not automatically mean like the best value, you know.
I don't understand. Like, I don't know. Like, people legitimately want Game Pass to fucking be a thing, and I think it's because it's the social justice. What I mean by that is like, it's the right thing to do is to give games out for free. You shouldn't be a bootlicker.
Yeah, you should be for the
I was
consumer.
wondering when you'd be back. Should we move on?
You should be for the gamer. Game Pass is for the
Looks
gamer.
like a cave in.
Yeah,
So
okay.
what happened to the caravan?
Okay.
Let's look around.
Maybe
Okay.
your second sight can help?
Okay.
That's what I say every time.
Lana,
And then you have so
what
many
do you
people
think?
who cap for it, man. They're like, yo,
What is
man,
it?
this is such a good deal. It's such a great deal. I'm like, well, yeah, it's a good deal. I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, I don't think anybody's denying that it's a good deal, you know. Um, but is it the?
What
It's
does it say?
you can't say it's the best deal.
It was part of the
It's
caravan
just not.
that went through here. The note ends abruptly, and the tunnels start to collapse, I guess. Oh. But there's nothing here about a Karja hunter. And an earlier caravan made it through before the collapse.
This is crazy, man.
To a watering hole on the other
Like,
side.
like if you can like Game Pass, that you got like PlayStation Plus.
Is there another way through?
I don't know. These mountains are pretty steep.
Then I'll have to find a way.
See, I think Game Pass has some other issues too, man. You know, which kind of goes into a different realm, but I think it has some fundamental issues.
May it help.
Um,
Hold on.
Somebody said something interesting to me on one of my posts online,
I'll
man.
check in with Milo with stuff
Uh,
whenever I can. If you find a way,
they said because I said right, and I speculated based off of just some of the information that that came out recently, right? That Game Pass isn't really good for incentivizing developers to try to do something unique
These mountains.
and well, I won't say unique, something that is like of high quality. You know what I mean? Because I think there's too much of a safety net there. You know what I mean? I think it's too much of a safe environment, for somebody to be challenged enough to want to create something really good, right? And somebody was like, well, that's not how creative people operate. You know, they just want to create something that's good in their eyes is good, right? And I'm like, well, you're right. I think you're right, but that does not mean that the game will automatically be a good game. I mean, look at things like Bleeding Edge, right? You know, look at things like fucking what's one of those other games that just came out not too long ago? I'll use Bleeding Edge as an example. Games like Sea of Thieves, right? Because that shit was broken when it fucking first came out. You have all these passion projects, right? And people who think that they have these great ideas and shit like that, right? And they could be like cool, unique little ideas, but that doesn't mean that the fucking game is